Welcome back to Storytime with Valen. This will be the hopefully last episode where we discuss kind of mods in somewhat greater detail than we should going forward. Here's Valen. We are at our camp. To catch you up, we have explored the area briefly, found some water, found some game meat, and I discussed in the last episode how I was going to hold off on starting Frostfall until we were a little better situated. But then I kind of started thinking, well, all the excuses and all the reasons I had for holding off actually make it perfectly valid to go ahead and start. We're wearing fur armor. We have a camp. We're in a fairly genteel area of the land. So I was going to go ahead and start it up and show you how it can be modified. Excuse me. And exactly what it does. So let's go ahead and just get that started. Then we can get going, because I kind of feel like killing things. There are two ways to start Frostfall. One, you can start it through the MCM, or if you are going for a little more lore immersion, which I should have done in the previous evening, you look up at the stars at night. We're just going to go ahead and start it now and say that we did it last night. Like before, we have to completely exit the menu, give it a little while to get synchronized. Lost in thought, you reflect back on how much the wilds have taught you about yourself over the last several days. You recall a book you once lost that was full of wisdom about survival in the open country. On a whim, you open your pack and find The Survivor's Guide to Skyrim, staring back up at you. Had it always been there? Or had thought alone summoned it? You push aside the thought as you thumb through its pages and then carefully place it back, knowing that some things are never truly lost. I did name my channel Storytime with Shendo, so you might have to deal with that a few times. Okay, so as you see, we're now prepared to face a colder, harsher Skyrim. Now let's go in and and it's a quest that you can complete. Let's look at that. Make sure there's nothing in there. Nope, it is all complete. Everything below this line is complete. This right here is the only quest we have right now, which is to venture into Helgen, but we'll get to that in a second. It's kind of on our mind. Frostfall does mean you want to stay warm, and so you notice when you're in third person, sometimes you'll go into these idle animations in front of a fire. So we'll get this thing set up. And okay, so this just kind of gives you an overview of, you can't really select anything here, except maybe this one. I will not play with any of that stuff right now. Okay, so axe durability, I think I mentioned before, with the realistic needs and diseases, we are not dealing with food spoilage. It's just one other little thing the game has to track, and every little, in my opinion, I'm not running a bad machine, but in my opinion, every little extra bit, I'd rather go for, fun stuff, not, nitpicking the minutia of, have I had this egg salad sandwich in my backpack for more than 3 days? Okay, now you are going to die. So we're going to get rid of that. Remove gear and tents. It's a really neat thing that when you go camping, you sit in your tent, you get a third-person view of yourself. Your boots are removed, your helmet's taken off. You're kind of laying back in the sleeping bag or bedroll. Excuse me. It is nice, but there's a glitch to it. When you get out of your tent, sometimes, in my case, all the time, you have to re-equip your boots. So I'm just going to turn that off. Advanced object placement. If you look in the bottom here, it'll tell you. Let's see if I can keep that up. Well, that's what she said. If enabled, a blue marker will appear when placing the camping equipment. This allows very precise placement. If you experience performance issues, take a pill if it lasts longer than 4 hours. We are continuing on. Okay, so we'll just leave that there for now. If we have any problems, we'll get rid of it. Pause exposure during combat, yes. During dialogue, yes, because some NPCs, like I said before, this is these mods are for the player immersion. The NPCs are not affected by this whatsoever. Frigid water is lethal. I'm going to turn off a lot of the lethality stuff. Again, because it's moot. You know, if we die, we're just going to reload. Now, I'm going to play it as if, hey, we can die in that, but I'm not going to, well, I might, convince me. Allow me to change my mind. Change my mind. Okay, I'm going to do allow fast travel. Okay, so, allow fast travel, manage fast travel. This is one of those where you have to, actually, I'm a little confused. Fast travel is, so it says, okay, I'm not going to let fast travel manage that. I'm not going to bother with it. This is my favorite part right here. The where. The worn equipment affects rate thing. And what this does is this puts in a value for every piece of armor in the game, as far as it knows, for full exposure protection, standard exposure protection, or limited exposure protection. And so when you have that toggled, we'll go ahead and get out of here. When you have that toggled, it makes you naked. Yay, naked. This affects how your equipment, how much your equipment protects you against it. You notice the fur armor that we have here will probably be full protection. Oh, no, it's only standard protection. If it had sleeves, it would be full protection. Bracers, full protection. Helmet, full protection. And shoes, full protection. But our armor is rated as standard protection, so it's not as good as full, but better than limited. We found a pair of hide boots previously, and if we just put them on, we'll notice that they are limited, so they're really, really weak. So for purposes of warmth, we want to get that up there. I'll put that on. So, excuse me. Let's see where we're at now. So we have everything here, but there is an added benefit because it's a mod, and we like mods. We are going to go ahead and there should be an option, which I'll have to remember where it is. I think, okay, under G for that, and weather sense I will do H. What happens under your survival skills, and I'll just make sure everything's here. I think we're good. I think we're good, and we're done. Okay, so let's say we come across a piece of armor from a mod. We just hit our survival skills, and it gives us the option to inspect the equipment. So under inspecting equipment, it says equip the piece you want. Let's go back to that set of hide boots that were limited protection. Let's say this came from, I believe any armor that you bring in from a mod will be given by default standard protection. In this case, it tells you this right now is the current setting. It's limited. Do you want it to be standard? Do you want it to be full? So if you have a mod and it comes in standard protection, but it's a big piece of fur and lots of cloth, you might say, well, this is a little more realistic. It's going to be full protection. Or if it's a skimpy, slooty bikini mod, you might make it limited protection. What I actually am going to be doing at some point, because different armors you want for armor value versus weight, things like that, I'm going to allow myself certain levels of cheating, such as if I craft something and if I have this let's say this fur armor here that I know is standard protection instead of full, and I get my smithing up, I craft it, I make it into, flawless or legendary or, better than crap. I might say, okay, this is going to be full protection. I have crafted it. I threw a bunch of extra wolf pelts in there, so we'll leave it at that. We'll leave the hide boots where they are, and we'll just, I think that's about it, with the exception of one more thing, but we're not going to get to that till we level. And I think we're going to go. We are right now not thirsty, not tired, not hungry, and not drunk. But I know we're going to be getting thirsty at some point. So let's go back to that river. Because we have Frostfall in here now, we're going to be able to, I hope, drink from the bottle that we had, and that will give us an empty bottle, and that will allow us to fill the bottle in the stream. And that is nice because right now we don't really have any option. We don't have any access to any water skins or any extra water. So having just one bottle of water would be nice to get going. Okay, I think that about covers it. So here we are back at Uncle Owen and Aunt Beru's cabin. We won't dawdle too long here because, you know, just out of paying respect to the dead. I'll go ahead and drink. And I think, let's work on this together. Well, I'll wait for that animation to stop. I think if we drink this, I guess we'll get a little drunk. But I hope that we have an empty bottle now. Erg, gar. Okay, so I am a lying liar. What lies? Okay, we'll figure this out at some point. Let's just go in here. Okay, I do not have an empty bottle. Maybe I have to get a specific one. They normally kind of just appear in my inventory, and, well, okay, so let's be Valen. I will note other mods as I come across them. This is... Whoa, there's a dead bear here. Okay. Are we alone? We look alone. Do a quick save just in case so I can ramble. This is a vein of ore. Iron ore specifically. We do not have a mining pick to access it, but this is a mod that essentially just makes ore glow. I think it's a very nice mod. It is immersion breaking, but I don't believe it's immersion breaking to the point of anything too bad. It just allows you to see things from a distance because the ore, in my opinion, is really hard to see. And, you know, I play these things for fun, and we'll just leave it at that, otherwise it'll sound a little whiny. Okay, how the hell do you get off this mountain again? So, we saw a dragon come out of Helgen, and I think it would be very nice and decent of us to go and see how things are over there. When we came into this land, based off of where we are camping, we probably walked through Helgen. We probably met some of the villagers. Valen is not... Valen is somewhere between a gypsy, a Roma, and a Kender. He was raised moving around a lot. He learned a smattering of many different skills: alchemy, archery, magic, some melee weapon craft. So he's not one that's big on cities. He understands their use for it, but more than likely he and his family have been kind of moving from town to town to town, staying in one place until people get tired of them. And he would probably have come through here, traded, and decided that... Whoa, what is that? So we have some people coming. These look like Imperials. I don't really want to mess with them because, like, if you're new, the whole reason that the whole reason Valen's here is to kind of defeat the Imperials. Doesn't hate them. It's not really out, you know. The Empire, for the most part, has done him very well. However, they are the friends of his enemies. Or what he thinks is his enemies. He probably has never met a Thalmor before. But he grew up, you know, in Cyrodiil, bouncing from town to town, and the Empire was ever present. Now this is going to be interesting because, hey, I didn't do it. They were dead when I got here. Just sorry, nothing to see. Moving along. Ooh. Are they looking? Okay, we will not rob the corpses while they're looking around. Maybe we'll talk to them. Hello, traveler.
The Legion's always looking for strong, capable warriors. If you think you've got what it takes, I Headquarters is in Solitude.
Solitude, right. We'll get right on it. It's my favorite part. You know that guy has 7 gold over there, right? This guy named Steve. Yeah, this is Steve right here. Steve. Last name, I don't know, something kind of generic. Smith, blank, paper, parchment, something like that. He owed me 7 gold, so I'm just gonna take it and be on my way. Pay me no mind. Everything's cool here. See ya. And let's see what's in here. Maybe look around. I feel comfortable. I feel completely comfortable in stealing 7 gold from that corpse. It's good that the game has a morality sensor for me. Wow, that was nice. Let's go up into the top of the tower, see what we can see from out here. If we open up the survival, not the survival, but the weather sense, exposure -4. A normal exposure, a normal comfortable exposure is 20. And the further negative you go, the more you're disliking the chill. So we're not going to stay out here too long. And we're just going to kind of continue on and see what we can find. Looks like looks like there is a convenient place to jump down here. So let's just go ahead and do that. Because I don't think we can get here any other way. Just looking around, places. Nope, these are actually not beds. They are fictional, which is fine. Ooh, mead, juniper mead. Anything here? Ooh, nice. Got a hat. I don't really need any of that stuff. Maybe get a few more bottles. Maybe. Oh, I don't want a plate. Possible these bottles we're able to drink and we'll leave us empty bottles. Hopefully we'll find some. Moving on. Oh, that's nice. So anyways, Valen is a bit of a you know, not a klepto, not really even a thief, just a bit of an opportunist. You know, he's never had a home, he's never had any real solid possessions, so he doesn't really appreciate pretty book. He doesn't really appreciate other people's needs for possessions or respect them, per se. And the book that we saw, and I'll just open this up real quick. There is a mod just entitled Book Covers or something along that line. So a lot of these are just some wonderful individual went through and made a bunch of book covers for it. It's a very lightweight mod, just adds a little bit more color to the game. So looking around here, Valen is a bit, how do I put it, shocked, dismayed. He's never come across anything this horrific before. Oh, that's good to know that that mod's working. This is a mod that adds a bunch of different coins to the game. And it is I guess a kind of a bit of a immersion breaker when you're down in the depths of a I don't know, cave, dungeon, mine that hasn't been touched for hundreds of years, and you see very current coinage sitting there. So mods for immersion, mods for mod's sake. I'm sure there are mods that make that fox turn into, you know, Randy Quaid. So probably stop talking with the mod talk and just get on to the play, because man, I've been jonesing just to play. Hey, look. Body turns to ash as you touch it, but somehow a leather journal survived the attack. Twelfth of last seed, 4th era, 201. Hard to believe I filled up that whole journal already. I never realized how much of Cyrodiil I hadn't seen yet. So much diversity, yet so much destruction from the Great War. A lot of history has been lost here forever. The expedition is ending soon, and everyone will be returning home. I have one last task to perform before I do the same. I'll send the other journals ahead with my supplies and the artifacts we recovered. 14th of last seed. I've received word from my contacts in Skyrim. All seem quiet for now. probably for the first time since High King was killed. I should be able to make the crossing lightly enough during the night, so long as there are no Imperial patrols to deal with. 15th of last seed. So much for being discreet. I crossed the border near a small village called Helgen and made my way up to the dark water crossing. Unfortunately, I can't get back to the camp now because the area has filled with Imperial patrols. It seems they are searching for someone. Someone very important. If I'm not mistaken, someone they intend to ambush there. This could be the very thing I am seeking here in Skyrim, but crossing the border in the dead of night without passing through the checkpoints has turned out to be a very bad plan. 16th of last seed. I woke early this morning with an Imperial sword pressed to my neck. A patrol found me camped under a rock outcropping on the edge of the volcanic marshes. I guess I wasn't as well hidden as I thought. I have no idea where they're taking us, but I've been stuffed in the back of a rickety old cart being pulled by an even more rickety-looking old nag. At least they let me keep my journal for now. 17th the last seed. Shore's bones. If only I had known sooner. The ambush, the captives in the cart with me. Stormcloak rebels, led by none other than Ulfric Stormcloak himself. There's no time to explain properly. I scarcely believe it myself. If it hadn't been for the dragon, I'd not even be here to write this down. Yes, a dragon, big, black, as large as the towers of the keep itself. It swooped in out of nowhere and laid waste to the village and the keep. General didn't take my head today, or the heads of several Stormcloak rebels, but that doesn't matter now. And Raldolph set aside their differences long enough to help me and a few others escape alive. Only the 3 of us made it this far. They've gone back to the keep to help the other survivors, while I've been asked to get warning to Riverwood as fast as possible. I still can't believe it. A dragon, straight out of the legends. Nobody back home will ever believe me. Oh, that's neat. So, we now know that Ulfric Stormcloak is the leader of, or Ulfric something is the leader of the Stormcloaks. I am not even going to attempt to pronounce some of the names in this game until I hear them pronounced. And we'll just keep it at that. Ooh, our exposure is minus 35. If you don't mind, I think we'll dive inside, get warmed up, hopefully look for some survivors, which we know there are probably are not. But the further I get into this, the better I'll be at the role-playing aspect, I hope. Yeah, thanks for being along with the ride for the mods so far. I think for the first few ones, I'll be keeping these Let's Plays a bit tight, somewhere between 20 and 30 minutes. That way, if I have any sound problems, it's not too hard on me to just redo it. Once I get a little more comfortable in this, I think we'll go for about an hour per episode. I think that's a pretty nice middle ground. Not too long, and you can, it's YouTube. You can always pause it and check it out as it goes. One last thing before I sign off for this episode. If you see in here, this is a little darker than even the night in the outside. I do have a lighting mod that changes the lighting inside versus outside, and I think inside I can handle it being a little darker. Outside at night, I've mentioned before, I just find it to be a bit I don't know, kind of a waste to make it super dark and then not be able to see anything. I've seen people that have modded their game to make things really dark and then downloaded other mods that gave them essentially the ability to see in the dark, and I feel like, well, what's the point to that? But that's okay. Thank you very much for watching. I'm sure if you continue on, you'll hear more of my gripes and complaints and, get off my lawn. So thank you, and see you next episode.